Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you a very late night review of My Hero Academia Season 3, Episode 25, the last episode of Season 3. If you're wondering as to why this one is so late, guys, to pretty much put it into perspective, I was at a wedding, or to be more precise about it, I was at my stepbrother's wedding, and yeah, you definitely know how long and party oriented weddings can be. So yeah, I was out in the country. I was out in the countryside for a bit at the wedding. So but yeah, I'm sure you guys don't want to hear about the wedding. You want to hear about the episode. Let's let's get into it. So I'm gonna start. So I'm going to start off how I normally do, giving my overall thoughts on the season. And to be honest, overall, while I personally enjoyed it from beginning to end, I can kind of see how this season... I can kind of see this season being a bit more of a mixed bag, and it isn't hard to see why. The first two arcs of the season came in swinging, with one big event after another happening. Then it did eventually ease back in the lat. It kind of eased out, and it kind of got a bit more casual in the latter half. And truth be told, we are kind of headed down that similar path with the future seasons of the series, because after this one big arc with Overhaul, the series focuses on a lot of mini arcs that either give the other students and other characters outside of the main cast more spotlight, or world building. And like I said, a lot of it at the core is going to have a bit more of a thematic focus on the villains that now inhabit the world with All Might gone. But the downside for some, I'm sure, is that a lot of the arcs end up sticking pretty much very close to a lot of the UA setting. That is one of the downsides. Like I said, there are going to be arcs that in the future of the series, probably maybe during season 4 or after season 4, that are going to focus a lot on that are going to focus a little bit outside of UA. Keep in touch with the whole villain thing, but. Like I said, they're also gonna if I had to give you percentage wise, I'd say for as far as where the manga is and what might be adapted in season 4, I'd say a good like 70% I'd say a good what we're gonna get in the future is a good 70% is gonna be inside of UA, and a good 30% is gonna a good 60% is gonna be focused outside of UA, and a good 60% is going to be focused in UA, and a good 40% is going to be focused outside of UA. I guess that's kind of the way I've kind of interpreted it from pretty much reading the manga. But yeah, but for now we can definitely. But for now, I think the biggest thing is that we are going to focus on this big arc with Overhaul pretty much come season 4. Now. Having said that, it's actually kind of amazing how this episode, specifically the main fight with Mirio, managed to be both epic and hilarious at the same time, because the way Mirio was just plowing through Class A was nothing short of amazing. And I love how his power is pretty much the same as the Shadowcats from X-Men. Although that is only scratching the surface. That isn't even what made this fight so epic to begin with. What made it epic to begin with is that Mirio really displayed what's necessary to be a pro. You really have to look beyond your quirk in order to be a hero. You have to improve yourself as well. You have to improve yourself as well. So you have to improve yourself as well, because if you don't improve yourself, then it would be impossible for you to pretty much do exactly what he was doing in this episode. He was predicting, and he had the foresight and the prediction to pretty much in order to see what as to what the biggest threat in all of Class threats in all of Class A was, and eliminate them first. So he proved that you have to improve yourself as well. if for no other reason than to pretty much compensate for any situation where you as a hero are at a disadvantage, and over time, if you train hard enough, you can gain the pretty much that pretty much exact same foresight to assess and deal with the situation even before it gets out of hand, because that's at the core pretty much kind of the base fact of what being a hero is. You're supposed to deal with, and it's actually kind of a lesson that can apply to even everyday heroes like firemen or policemen or something. Like you pretty much have to assess a situation and pretty much see and kind of and figure out what the best plan of attack is in order to ensure that you deal with this situation pretty much before it gets out of hand, or before anyone gets injured, or that there are minimal casualties. In fact, this episode, I think, is the perfect example of one of Aizawa's earliest lessons from season 1 put into action. If you remember, he said you pretty much can't just have one trick. So that's kind of throwing back to season 1 by when Aizawa said you can't just have one trick. You have to have multiple. You have to have multiple ideas and multiple plans in your head in order to be a true hero, in order to be a true pro and hero. So yeah, I like how it is kind of throwing back to season 1 in that regard. And there's also, of course, a lesson about control in here as well, so there's that too. The fight itself, also, I love how the fight itself also gives us a good idea of what the difference is between the internships and the work placement that the students did in season 2, which is that the danger is far more constant because you're basically treated as a pro. You're basically treated as a pro first, and as a student second. So what the students are essentially going to be facing in this situation is that they're responsible for pretty much protecting themselves and growing stronger on their own. And I like how this setup almost does kind of force, like, I know there have been situations where they've been able to practice and whatnot, but this situation, this setup, it forces them to pretty much think on the fly and grow stronger on the fly. So they're essentially going to have to find pretty much their own time, and they're going to have to strategize in order to pick the best time and the best way in order to grow stronger, even before, like, let's say, like a mugger appears and tries to rob a woman. Like, they have to think of how to best use their time in these internships in order to grow stronger. So I like how it does make them think on the fly. And one big thing we learn, of course, is that Mirio is the closest to being number one hero. And with the introduction to Sir, who I think it's more than obvious is the former sidekick that Gran Torino mentioned. Like, yeah, Sir. Like, actually, I want to talk about the design because, like, the way Bones designed him was just amazing. That they did an amazing job, just like overhaul it with his design and whatnot. And I like the use of shadows in here too. So there's that. But anyway, with the introduction of Sir, who's more than obvious, the former sidekick of Gran Torino mentioned, you guys really have been you guys as anime onlys, you've already been given two major breadcrumbs pretty much towards how this is going to change, what exactly happened from the very beginning of the series. Because with Sir's introduction, this raises two very important questions you guys as anime onlys need to ask about. If Sir is All Might's former sidekick, then what caused the fallout? That's the first question. And why hasn't All Might mentioned Sir before? Like, these questions kind of sound similar, but trust me, they really are important questions to ask, and a lot of the answers, again, they pretty much lie in the beginning of the series. Like, when the reveal is there, when the reveal happens of what all this is building up to, I can't wait to see, like, the faces of anime onlys for this one. It's gonna be interesting, that's for sure. Um, and of course, the episode ends Black Clover style with even more of a fucking cliffhanger than the previous seasons. And yeah, I think it's pretty obvious why Overall is meeting with the League of Villains, which reinforces how organized the villains of the world are actually becoming in just a brief amount of time that All Might's retired. And it's kind of fascinating in order to really just see how many villains are actually starting to mobilize. Pretty much now the greatest barrier in the world that was blocking them from pretty much doing anything has basically crumbled. Like it's really kind of like I said, it's really kind of fascinating how much villains are becoming a major part of the story now. Like they've always been a major part, but now they're like going to be like it looks like they're going to become a focus now. And yeah, I'm interested to see where this is gonna go. But yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Facebook, AniList, Crunchyroll. And I'm gonna try and get, and yeah, this is like probably one of the first maybe late night reviews in a while, guys. Again, the whole wedding thing. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, Death Knight of Anime signing off. Later, guys.